Is Wiper leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka the man to unseat President William Ruto in the 2027 polls? That is the conversation we're going to have today on yet another insightful edition of Siasa Brigade, your go-to point on matters governance and politics at large, hosted by yours truly, son of the soil, Richard Mwanja. Indeed, a pleasure to have you on board. With me on this conversation is none other than Kenya's most sought-after political analyst, the first of his name, Herman Manyora.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
It's quite warm, but you are there tucked in your blazer and all that
Which
stuff.
is warm? This is cold. This is July. What's wrong with you? Everybody knows this is our winter.
But that shirt really is outstanding.
Yes.
Who is your designer though?
I've forgotten his name. It's Odanga.
Come on, are you sure that's not a donation? That shirt
Who?
from our good fans.
These are designer shirts. Our fans don't value us that much.
We wait
They are
to
good people, but they don't. They can't donate things.
It remains to be seen. They will
Yes.
in the fullness of time.
Yes, yes.
Very well. Straight into today's conversation, we are talking about the political future of none other than your friend, Wiper leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And very recently, a few days ago, we saw Wiper legislators urging Raila Odinga to, the time is ripe for him to groom Stephen Musyoka and actually hand over the baton of 2027 polls to none other than Wiper leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And it begs the question, what could be the burning fire in the belly of these Wiper legislators? Is it that they are reading that maybe Raila Odinga's political oxygen is running out or what?
No, this thing started a long time back, way back.
But now you have back-to-back calls.
In 2017, they wanted Kalonzo to be the candidate. In 2022, they wanted Kalonzo to be the candidate. There's nothing wrong if they want Kalonzo to be the candidate this time round. And in fact, there seems to be the general consensus within the opposition rank that Kalonzo should be given the baton this time.
However, unlike previous years, the call for Kalonzo to succeed Raila Odinga always came near electioneering times. But this time, just right after concluding a general elections, barely 1 year after that, they're already making that call.
I think it's a change of strategy. I think there's this feeling that Raila has run his course. And that it is inconceivable that he will run again. I think this was the general feeling immediately after the general election of last year. I'm not so sure it is still so.
You're not quite sure?
I'm not so sure.
Then again...
Because now these Mandamanos have shown a re-energized Raila. And it doesn't look like he's about to retire from politics. He looks like he has all the energy in him.
The very same mass demonstration that have shown a re-energized Raila Odinga are the same demonstration that have put Kalonzo as a political gentleman. Look at the recent mass protest that was held at Kathiani Market that he stewarded the other side.
Yes.
Very peaceful, not violent in any measure of it, and people consider that as a perfect statesman. That's how you protest, that's how you air grievances. Don't you think this could be a political capital that will make Kalonzo at a vantage position than Raila Odinga before the masses?
But you see, the same masses will turn out to listen to Raila more than Kalonzo. So, which masses are you talking about?
The same masses that find Kibaki the best political gentleman and steward of the country. Don't you think that appeal is going to be domiciled more?
It is quite possible. It is quite possible. And many people think it is Kalonzo's time. But using Kibaki as an example is a wrong example, because Kibaki on his way, on his own, had failed to convince the people of this country to vote for him. First of all, it was just Nyeri and Nyandarua and those other Nyeri-related counties like Meru and Kirinyaga and what. Then later it was only Mount Kenya, and he didn't get anything else beyond Mount Kenya, apart from few dotted votes in Kisii and so on and so forth. So in 2002, it was not Kibaki effort. It was not the people of Kenya. It was a movement. It was the rainbow movement. It was a rainbow moment. It was a time Kenyans thought they needed to bring about change. It wasn't important who was the captain, and that's why even as a patient, almost crippled, people still voted for him. So with Raila campaigning and Kibaki wasn't there. Unless you create such a moment, Kalonzo may find it a little tough navigating through the politics of this country.
He might find it a little bit tough.
Yeah.
But for him to probably have a smooth landing and probably grab of the seat in 2027 or whenever he launches his presidential bid, do you think he needs to add to his element a sense of not being so soft? There are people who find that power is not given, it's actually taken by both hands. That his soft approach to politics is what has always curtailed him from the top side.
It depends on the dynamics. Because I believe the next election, wherever it comes, for the opposition side, they have to produce a movement and not an individual. So it shouldn't be Raila or Kalonzo.
A movement.
A movement with a leadership. And that leadership is not one person. So they must change the approach, where we always have one person. So even if you give the baton to Kalonzo, and he inherits the style, where it's a one-man thing, he will lose. And in fact, I want to add badly. So they have to create a movement, almost a wave similar to the 2002 rainbow wave. And the ground is fertile for the same. The suffering of the people of Kenya can unite the people of Kenya and create a mass movement that will catapult whoever they choose into State House.
But then again, now that we are seeing Raila Odinga and Kalonzo leading parallel protests still under the Azimio coalition, do you think that is a wise political strategy instead of them being together on all those protest Mondays?
I look at it and I laugh. You know, Raila is an old fox, and it's not very easy to outsmart an old fox. They should have known that will show the people who they are in comparison to Raila. It will show the people where the power lies. That decision must have been made in a meeting, and they blindly went for it.
Do you mean that was organic following that was behind Raila?
Yes, Raila has his organic following. So, saying you go to Kathiani, then you have a red carpet in a meeting, which is just a public rally, and then you go somewhere else in Kirinyaga and you have 10 people listening to you. That is counterproductive. When you have those small pockets of people, it shows the thing is not countrywide. It is concentrated in Nairobi. Then Kenya Kwanza will say, these are just Luos in Nairobi. So, it must be a well-coordinated countrywide move. But if you leave it to Kalonzo to go to Kathiani and to somebody else to go to Kirinyaga, Mother Karua, and somebody else to go to, I don't know, Muranga, another person to go to, and then they just have a handful of boys. It shows this thing is not countrywide. It must be well coordinated. But I'm also telling Kalonzo Musyoka and the rest of these people, with that one move from the old folks, it serves to show who the king is.
Who the king is.
Yes. Simple. And they can't see these simple tricks.
They cannot see it.
Yeah.
Maybe their eyes will be opened up very soon. Yeah. But then again, you cannot actually dismiss this. We know Raila Odinga in the recently concluded general elections was just meters shy from clinching the seat. And part of his success, the votes he garnered, was actually from Kalonzo's backyard, millions of votes from Kambani. And right now, should Kalonzo continue to pull a parallel string in terms of leading mass protest, and then the thing of people calling him to stand in 2027 really gets embedded in him and he actually goes for the seat? Do you think Raila Odinga will now be left nothing more but a pale shadow of his former self? Without Kalonzo and now Wetangula and Mudavadi on the other side, Raila will be reduced to ashes.
You know, Kalonzo leaving will dent the opposition. It will certainly affect Raila, whichever direction he will be taking. But remember, many people have thought Raila was finished merely because he lost fellow colleagues, co-principals.
Yeah, sure.
In 2013, he lost Najib Balala, Charity Ngilu, Mudavadi, and they lost Joe Nyaga. Basically meaning the Pentagon was broken. But he put up a fight, and we all know he won that election almost. In 2017, he again lost a few others. and Soja down with Kalonzo. Mudavadi rejoined. In 2022, he lost to Wastangula and Mudavadi. You know, everybody said he was gone.
Finished.
Without Mudavadi and
Wetangula.
Kwisha. Yeah. Western is gone.
Bondo Express.
But we all know again the fight he put up. So even now, Kalonzo can live and Raila maybe could succeed or now go home complete. You can never know. Politics is politics. But I think it would be foolhardy on their part to want to destroy the opposition merely because Kalonzo has not been given the
endorsed.
baton. And the politics of endorsement, I also don't like it. Just move there naturally. For example, if Mudavadi had remained with Raila from 2007, he would have been the natural heir to the throne.
Heir apparent to the throne.
And you know, you have to also play the part and look the part.
Not just being in the
So
matrix.
when you begin complaining because some small boys are throwing barbs at you and saying now Luos, oh Raila, and it's not Raila, just small junior politicians.
It's time they repay us.
Yeah, sizing you up. Then you go crying.
It could be a fatal dent on yourself, not on Raila's side.
So those who are pushing for Kalonzo's candidates must do so strategically. And I think that there's no better way to do than being part of the movement strongly and advising Kalonzo to be a little punchy, to punch a little harder.
A little harder.
And be more organizational and interact with the population and mobilize resources. Politics is about resources. Does he have resources?
And look more of an independent thinker and all that.
I'm not saying you get money to buy people, but you need to mobilize. You need to travel across the country. He needs to come to Vihiga. I need to make an Arambe just to make him appear there.
Get many more gauchos in every of those areas.
You move. You meet people, elders, villagers, and opinion leaders in Taita Taveta. But that requires resources. Does he have the resources? Does he have the mobilizing skills?
It remains to be seen, but definitely we should. We know Senator Dan Manzo, your friend, might be watching, and he'll pass the message.
What is the big mistake is just to keep pushing that I must be the one, I must be that one.
The time is right.
Because even if you are given and you don't have the substance, that's a lost opportunity.
Kalonzo can lack the substance. Someone who has been a vice president at some point.
I'm not saying he can lack. I'm not saying he lacks. I'm saying it's possible you could lack.
It's possible you could lack.
Yeah.
Very well, there you have it. That point by Herman Manyora takes us to the wrap of this conversation today, talking the political future of none other than Wiper leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Nuggets of wisdom from him on what better fronts he should be eyeing in the political world and how to get there. That has been our conversations. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join our other conversations on the channel. Candid Conversations with Evans Okinyi, Political Conversations with Jadiel Kabiro. Yours truly here will be bringing a new business glide show on economics and public policy, as well as this very show, biggest outfit on matters political governance, Yes, a Brigade. Until then, God bless. God bless.